First Blood. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the Terran exploration vessel Artemis, watching the unknown ship approach through the main viewport. After 15 years of deep space exploration, humanity had finally encountered another spacefaring civilization. The alien vessel resembled a vast silver leaf, its surface rippling like mercury in zero gravity. "Analysis?" she asked, keeping her voice steady despite her racing heart. Dr. Marcus Rivera, the ship's xenobiologist, studied his readings intently. "The hull appears to be biomechanical, Captain. Some kind of living metal. And the internal structure." He paused, frowning. "It's built like a fortress. Multiple redundant barriers, defensive formations. Everything about it speaks of prey species architecture." Prey species. Lieutenant James Foster questioned from his tactical station. "Think rabbit warren, not wolf den," Rivera explained. "These beings evolved hiding from predators, not being them." Before Chen could respond, the communications officer called out, "Captain, they're hailing us. Universal Translator is already working." "That's impossible. They've been watching us," Chen realized. "Put them through." The voice that filled the bridge was melodious, almost musical. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the Collective. We have studied your civilization since you first breached your atmosphere." Chen straightened. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran exploration vessel Artemis. We come in peace." "Peace." The alien voice held a note of fascination. "You speak of peace, yet your ship bristles with weapons. Your very posture speaks of readiness to strike. You are hunters." "Defensive capabilities only," Chen assured them. "Standard protocol for deep space exploration. There is nothing standard about you." A shimmer appeared in the air, and suddenly a being stood on their bridge. Tall, silvery, with too many limbs and eyes that seemed to catch every movement. The security team's hands went to their weapons, but Chen held up a hand to stop them. "Fascinating," the alien said. "Your security team moved as one, without communication. Pack hunters. We suspected, but seeing it." The being turned its multifaceted eyes to Chen. "You must understand. In all our centuries of space exploration, we have never encountered a spacefaring predator species. Most destroy themselves long before achieving unity." Rivera stepped forward, scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "You mean all other advanced civilizations evolved from prey species?" "Precisely. Intelligence developed as a defense against predators. Yet humans, you developed intelligence while remaining predators. More remarkably, you developed empathy, cooperation, art, music, traits we thought impossible for hunter species to achieve." Chen processed this information carefully. "You said you've been watching us. Why reveal yourselves now?" The alien's silver skin rippled. "Because the galaxy needs predators again. The old dangers are returning, and prey species alone cannot face them. We need hunters who choose to protect." Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple ships dropping out of FTL," Foster shouted. "Unknown configuration, weapons hot." The silver being's form fluctuated in distress. "The swarm. They found us too soon. Captain, your ship must." The Artemis rocked with the first impact. Chen was already moving. "Battle stations. Foster, defensive pattern Delta. Rivera, get our guest to safety." "No," the alien said. "Let me witness. Let me see how predators protect their pack." What happened next would become legend in the annals of first contact. The Artemis, badly outgunned and outnumbered, didn't retreat. Instead, Chen employed hunting tactics that had been coded into human DNA since they first chased prey across African savannas. She used the ship's superior maneuverability to split the attacking force, isolating targets just as ancient humans had separated vulnerable animals from the herd. Foster caught on immediately, coordinating point defense systems to harry and wound rather than kill, forcing their attackers to protect their injured. a strategy that would never occur to pure predator species who simply abandon their weak. When the collective ship joined the battle, they were clearly amazed by the Artemis crew's coordination. There was no panic, no chaos, just the smooth efficiency of pack hunters working together. The battle ended as quickly as it began. The swarm vessels, faced with prey that fought back with predatory cunning, retreated into FTL. The bridge crew celebrated, but Chen noticed their alien guest staring at them with an unreadable expression. "You protected us," the being said finally. "Not just yourselves, but us as well. And you did it by hunting." Chen nodded. "That's what humans do. We protect our own. And if you're right about these old dangers returning, maybe it's time for the galaxy to remember why even predators can be valuable allies." The alien's form rippled with what Chen was beginning to recognize as emotion. The galaxy has grown too peaceful, too complacent. Perhaps it needs the children of Earth to teach it how to bare its teeth again. It turned its multifaceted eyes to the star-filled viewport. "But can you hunt without becoming the very monsters we fear?" Chen smiled, her expression both fierce and gentle, a paradox only humanity seemed capable of achieving. "That's exactly what makes us different from simple predators. We don't hunt because we must, but because we choose to protect those who can't protect themselves." As the Artemis and the collective ship set course for the nearest diplomatic station, Chen couldn't help but feel humanity had just been thrust into a role they never expected, teaching a galaxy of prey species how to fight back while remembering why they fought in the first place. The age of peaceful exploration was over. The time of the guardian predators had begun. The hunt begins. Admiral Elena Torres studied the holographic display in the Emergency Response Center on New Geneva Station, her eyes tracking the pattern. The enemy vessels were massive crystalline structures that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved with terrifying grace, but they made one crucial mistake. They never looked behind them. They had never needed to. Like apex predators who've never been hunted, Torres commented as she watched the trap close. They don't know how to watch their own backs. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galactic community had witnessed. Human ships moved in coordinated patterns refined by millions of years of pack hunting instincts. They separated vulnerable enemy vessels from the main group, used false retreats to draw others into ambush positions, and demonstrated a grasp of three-dimensional combat that left their allies in awe. When it was over, 3 enemy ships had been captured intact, something never before achieved. As Torres supervised the boarding operations, she received an urgent message from the scientific team studying the enemy vessel's architecture. "Admiral," Dr. Patel's voice was tense with excitement. "These ships, they're not just similar to ancient predator species. They are ancient predator species. The crystalline structures are essentially fossilized life forms, reactivated and modified with technology. Someone is waking up the galaxy's ancient apex predators and turning them into living weapons." Torres felt a chill run down her spine, even as her hunter's instincts tingled with anticipation. Then it's not just about defending colonies anymore. We're dealing with someone who's trying to restore the galaxy's old order, when predator species ruled and everyone else lived in fear. Ambassador Xirain, who had insisted on observing the operation, spoke quietly. "Now you understand why we sought humanity's help. We needed predators who chose to protect, who could fight these beings on their own terms without becoming like them." Torres watched as her team secured the captured vessels, her mind already working on new strategies. "Tell the Council we're going to need more ships, more crews. And tell them to be ready. We're not just going to defend anymore. We're going to hunt down whoever is behind this, all the way to their lair." As the emergency response teams began their work, Torres couldn't help but reflect on the irony. Humanity had spent millennia trying to overcome their predatory nature, only to find that the galaxy desperately needed exactly what they had struggled so long to control. The hunt was just beginning, and this time, Humanity would show the galaxy that predators could be protectors, that hunting instincts could serve a greater purpose than mere survival. The ancient apex predators were about to learn what it meant to face an enemy who combined predatory skill with moral purpose and the will to protect. Pack tactics. Commander Jack Martinez watched through reinforced glass as the holographic predator stalked through the training arena, tracking a group of collective recruits. The alien's silvery forms rippled with instinctive fear as they tried to maintain the defensive formation he'd taught them. Old instincts died hard. "They're breaking apart again," noted Lieutenant Sarah Chen, daughter of the now famous first contact captain. "Fear response is overriding their training." Martinez nodded. Computer, end simulation. The holographic beast dissolved, and he keyed the intercom. "Remember what we discussed. Fear is natural, but you control it. It doesn't control you." The collective warriors gathered themselves, their forms solidifying from the nervous liquid state they'd begun to adopt. Their leader, First Hunter Kex, approached the observation window. "We understand the theory, Commander, but millions of years of evolution tell us to scatter and hide. How do we overcome this?" "The same way humanity did," Martins replied. "One step at a time. Your ancestors survived by running and hiding. Ours survived by turning fear into focus. We'll teach you how." The training facility, dubbed the Den by human instructors, was humanity's most ambitious project yet. Built into an asteroid in neutral space, it served as a melting pot where predator and prey instincts were being forged into something entirely new. Dr. Maya Patil entered the observation room, her tablet displaying new psychological data. "The breakthrough we had with the Photeri might help here," she suggested. "Remember how we discovered they actually had dormant pack-hunting instincts from their pre-sapient days?" Martinez remembered. The Photeri, a species of energy beings, had initially seemed impossible to train in coordinated combat. Then they'd discovered that their earliest forms had hunted in groups, sharing energy to trap their prey. That ancient memory, once awakened, had transformed them into some of their best students. "Kex," he called over the intercom. "Tell me about your species' earliest forms. Before you developed intelligence, how did you survive?" The collective warrior's surface swirled thoughtfully. We flowed together. When great beasts came, we would merge into larger forms to appear more threatening." "Strength in numbers," Martinez said. "That's pack behavior, just like early humans forming groups to appear larger to predators. You already know how to work together. We just need to redirect it from pure defense to coordinated action." Over the next few hours, they ran new simulations, this time encouraging the collective warriors to merge partially while maintaining individual consciousness. The results were impressive. Their liquid nature, once unified, allowed them to move with incredible coordination. "Beautiful," breathed Chen. "They're not fighting their nature anymore. They're using it." Similar breakthroughs were happening throughout the facility. The crystalline Catal had discovered they could form living fortress walls while still moving as a unit. The atmospheric Vreen had learned to create coordinated storm patterns that could herd and trap enemies. But it wasn't just about combat tactics. The real challenge was teaching prey species to think like predators while not losing their fundamental nature. The key, Dr. Patil explained to a group of instructors, is understanding that predatory behavior isn't just about killing. It's about strategy, patience, protection of territory and family. These are universal concepts that every species can relate to. Martinez was demonstrating this concept in the main arena, leading a mixed species group through a complex tactical exercise. "Watch the pack dynamics," he called out. "Wolves don't just attack randomly. They communicate, coordinate, protect their flanks. Each member has a role." The various species moved together with increasing confidence. The collective flowed around their allies, providing mobile cover. Kittle crystals formed advanced positions. Vreen atmospheric disturbances masked their movements. They were learning to combine their defensive instincts with predatory precision. But not everyone was comfortable with the changes. A delegation of conservative council members arrived to observe the training, and many were disturbed by what they saw. "You're teaching them to kill," one observer accused during a review session. "No," Martins corrected firmly. "We're teaching them to survive, to protect. There's a difference between being able to fight and being driven by bloodlust. Humanity learned that lesson long ago." Dr. Petal pulled up historical records. "Look at human development. We didn't lose our predatory instincts. We channeled them into sports, into competition, into protective services. That's what we're teaching here. The control is as important as the capability." The breakthrough moment came during an unexpected crisis. A training exercise was interrupted by a real emergency. One of the captured ancient predator ships had broken free from its research facility. As alarms blared, Martinez watched in pride as his mixed-species training group responded without hesitation. They moved as one unit, predator and prey instincts blending seamlessly. The collective provided sensing and coordination, the Kettle created defensive positions, and the Vreen handled misdirection. They tracked, cornered, and subdued the threat without a single casualty. "That," Martinez told the stunned council observers, "is what we're building here. Not killers. Protectors who can think like predators when they need to, but never lose their essential nature." Later, as he watched his students celebrating their success, Martinez reflected on how far they'd come. The galaxy was changing, finding a balance between the survival instincts of prey species and the protective instincts of predators. First Hunter Kex approached him, their silver form steady and confident. "We understand now, Commander. The goal isn't to become predators. It's to take the best of both natures. The awareness of prey, the coordination of hunters, the wisdom to know when to use each." Martinez nodded. "That's the real lesson of the den. We're not creating hunters or prey anymore. We're creating guardians. And when those ancient predators come in force, they'll find something they've never faced before. A galaxy that knows how to bare its teeth without losing its soul. Prey no more." Deep in unexplored space, the combined fleet of the Galactic Alliance held position around a dying star. Admiral Elena Torres stood on the bridge of the flagship Terra Nova, watching the swirling energies of the red giant. Their quarry had led them here, to the graveyard of an ancient civilization. Multiple signatures emerging from the stellar debris field, reported Captain Sarah Chen from her tactical station. "They're not even trying to hide anymore." Torres nodded grimly. After months of hunting down the forces behind the ancient predator ships, they'd finally traced them to their source. The enemy vessels emerged from the stellar matter like leviathans rising from the depths, massive crystalline structures that dwarfed even the largest Alliance ships. "Life signs?" Torres asked. "Impossible to tell," replied Dr. Rivera, who'd been studying the captured predator ships. "The crystal structures themselves are alive, or were once. The technology controlling them is integrated so deeply, it's hard to distinguish where the organism ends and the machine begins." The main viewport filled with the approaching hostile fleet. At their center was something different, a vessel that seemed to pulse with its own internal light, like a heart of darkness beating in the void. "Admiral," called the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission. It's like nothing I've ever seen." The message that filled the bridge wasn't just sound or video. It was pure sensation. The crew felt ancient hunger, the primal joy of the hunt, the satisfaction of the kill. It took all their training not to recoil. Then it resolved into words, ancient and terrible. Children playing at being hunters. "You have no conception of what you face. We are the first predators. When your ancestors were still hiding in caves, we had already mastered the stars. Now we return to reclaim our hunting grounds." Torres stood firm, her own predatory instincts rising to match the challenge. "This is Admiral Elena Torres of the Galactic Alliance. You're trespassing in protected space. Stand down or be engaged." Laughter echoed through their minds, dark and ancient. "Protected? You speak of protection while baring teeth and claws. Your species tries so hard to deny its nature, to pretend it's civilization. But we see the truth in your blood. You are hunters, like us. Join us, and rule this galaxy as it was meant to be ruled. Torres smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You're right about one thing. We are hunters. But that's not all we are. She opened a channel to the fleet. All ships, execute Operation Pack Law. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The ancient predators attacked with overwhelming force, expecting their prey to scatter. Instead, they met a coordinated response, unlike anything in their long memory. Human ships moved like pack hunters, drawing enemy vessels into prepared kill zones. The collective flowed through space in liquid metal formations, their ships linking together to form living weapons. Kettle vessels crystallized enemy ships in sheets of living crystal, while Vreen atmospheric ships created space-time distortions that threw off the ancient predators' targeting systems. They're adapting, Chen reported as another wave of crystal ships emerged. These beings didn't survive millions of years by being predictable. Neither did we, Torres responded. Dr. Rivera, is the package ready? Rivera nodded from his station. The virus is prepared. But Admiral, we're still not sure how these beings think. The psychological warfare component is untested. That's where you're wrong, Torres said. We know exactly how they think. Like apex predators who've never had to fear anything. And that's their weakness. She opened a channel to the strike team. Commander Martinez, you have a go. While the main fleet engaged the ancient predators, a specially modified ship carried a joint human collective strike team through the chaos. They'd learned from studying the captured ships that the crystalline structures weren't just vessels. They were more like bodies, with the controlling intelligence spread throughout their matrix. The strike team's ship, cloaked in Vreen atmospheric distortions, approached the central vessel. Martins led his team, a mixture of human special forces and transformed collective warriors. Through the crystalline corridors, the interior was like being inside a living creature, with pulsing energy flowing through transparent veins. They're so focused on being predators, Martins commented as they reached the central chamber, that they never considered someone might hunt them back. The virus they carried wasn't just a computer program. It was a hybrid of human psychological warfare and collective empathic technology. As they planted it in the ship's neural network, it began to spread through the ancient predators' collective consciousness. For the first time in their existence, the first predators felt fear. The virus showed them every moment of their victim's terror, made them experience being prey. But more than that, it showed them something they'd never understood: the strength that comes from protecting others, the power of choosing to be more than just a hunter. The effect was devastating. The ancient consciousness that controlled the crystal ships reeled in confusion and horror. Their perfectly coordinated attacks became erratic as they experienced emotions they'd never evolved to handle. Now, Torres ordered, and the Alliance fleet struck with everything they had. Crystal ships shattered, their controlling intelligence broken not just by weapons, but by the understanding of what they truly were, relics of a universe that had evolved beyond mere predation. The central vessel's transmission changed, became almost plaintive. What are you? Torres' response was firm. We are what comes after predators. We are protectors who remember how to hunt. And this galaxy is under our protection now. The remaining crystal ships began to power down, their ancient consciousness retreating into dormancy. As Alliance vessels moved in to secure them, Torres received reports from across the galaxy. All the activated predator ships were going dormant, their controlling intelligence broken by the revelation that the age of pure predators was over. Later, as the fleet regrouped and began the long process of cleaning up the battle, Martinez found Torres in her ready room. The Council wants to know what to do with the dormant ships, he reported. Torres looked out at the dying star, thinking about the cycle of evolution that had brought them to this point. We study them, learn from them, but most importantly, we remember them, as a reminder of what happens when you embrace only one part of your nature. And the galaxy. The galaxy, Torres said with a slight smile, is about to enter a new age. Not one of predator and prey, but of guardians who understand both. That's humanity's gift to the stars, teaching them that being strong doesn't mean you have to be cruel, and being protective doesn't mean you have to be weak. As the Alliance fleet set course for home, they left behind the graveyard of an ancient era. The age of pure predators was over. The time of the guardian hunters had begun. New pack. 5 years after the Battle of the Dying Star, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Gone were the traditional defensive arrangements where each species sat in protected enclaves. Now representatives mingled freely, their newfound confidence evident in every interaction. Ambassador Sarah Chen, formerly Captain Chen, watched from her position at the human delegation station as a group of young collective warriors flowed through the chamber in their ceremonial forms. They moved with a predator's grace now, but their patterns were protective, not threatening. Near them, crystal beings formed honor guards for Vreen atmospheric diplomats, their formation showing both strength and shelter. Quite a change from when I first visited this chamber, commented Admiral Torres, now serving as Earth's military advisor to the Council. Remember how everyone used to flinch when we moved too quickly? Chen smiled. Now they're disappointed if we don't show up for combat training sessions. The Photari especially. Who knew energy beings could be so competitive? Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of First Guardian Kex, their silvery form now permanently shaped into a warrior's aspect. The former collective hunter had become one of the strongest advocates for the new galactic defense doctrine. The integration reports are ready, Kex announced, their surface rippling with satisfaction. The latest graduates from the den have shown remarkable progress. Even species we thought would never adapt to hunter tactics are discovering their own ways of being strong. Chen accessed the report on her datapad. The statistics were impressive. Crime rates across the galaxy had plummeted as more species learned to defend themselves and their neighbors. Trade routes once plagued by pirates were now safe, protected by mixed species patrol groups that combined human hunting tactics with natural alien abilities. And the ancient predator ships? Torres asked. Still dormant, Kex replied. The research teams believe they'll stay that way. The virus didn't just shut them down, it forced them to evolve, to understand that pure predation is an evolutionary dead end. Those that couldn't adapt simply stopped. The chamber's main doors opened to admit a unique procession. Dr. Maya Patel led a group of students from various species, all wearing the insignia of the new Galactic Guardian Corps. The program had been her idea, combining human military training with synapsychology to create peacekeepers who understood both the predator and prey aspects of every species. The real victory, Patel had once told Chen, isn't that we taught them to fight. It's that we taught them they didn't have to choose between being strong and being kind. The council session that followed demonstrated just how much the galaxy had changed. Representatives discussed new threats and opportunities with clear-eyed realism, no longer paralyzed by ancient fears. When a Vreen delegate reported unusual activity at the galaxy's edge, the response wasn't panic but measured preparation. We've detected unusual energy signatures similar to the ancient predator ships, the Vreen announced. But this time, we're ready. Chen watched with pride as representatives from different species quickly formed working groups, combining their unique perspectives to analyze the threat. The collective provided intelligence gathering, the Catal offered defensive strategies, and the Vreen contributed their mastery of space-time distortions. Remember when they used to wait for us to solve every problem? Torres whispered. They've learned well, Chen replied. Maybe too well. Did you see the training scores from last month? The Photari team actually beat our best human squad. Torres grinned. Good. Competition makes us all stronger. After the session, Chen found herself in the Council's Memorial Garden, a new addition that honored those lost in the ancient predator conflict. The garden combined elements from all member species, flowing collective metal, Kittel crystals, Vreen atmospheric sculptures, and earth plants. It was a physical representation of how the galaxy had changed, beauty born from the integration of different natures. Dr. Patel joined her there, watching a group of mixed-species children playing in the garden. The youngsters were engaged in a modified version of hide-and-seek that combined hunting and protection elements, each using their species' abilities while learning to work together. "That's the real triumph," Patel said, nodding toward the children. "They're growing up without the old fears, but also without the old cruelties. They understand both strength and compassion." "We've become something new," Chen agreed. "Not just humans, not just aliens, but a true galactic community, a pack that hunts only to protect." The garden's peace was interrupted by a priority alert. A new species had been discovered, showing signs of achieving spaceflight. Early observations suggested they too were natural predators. Chen read the alert and smiled. 10 years ago, such news would have terrified the Council. Now she could already hear representatives discussing how to welcome and guide the newcomers. "Should we prepare a first contact team?" Patel asked. Chen looked around at the transformed galaxy, at the collective warriors who had learned to fight without losing their essence, at the Kotal who had turned their defensive crystals into tools of protection, at the Vreen who had mastered the art of strategic thinking while maintaining their peaceful nature. "No," she decided. "Let's send a mixed team. Show them from the start what they can become. Not just hunters, not just defenders, but part of something greater. Show them what humanity learned, that the strongest pack is the one that protects its own." As the alert was distributed through the council chamber, Chen felt a deep satisfaction. The galaxy had found its balance, creating a civilization that honored both predator and prey aspects of every species. The ancient predators had failed because they couldn't evolve beyond their basic nature. The modern galaxy had succeeded because it had learned to embrace all aspects of its character, creating something entirely new in the process. The age of simple hunters and hunted was over. The time of the guardian pack had come to stay.